They gave you the formula and watched you follow it. Work hard, stay loyal, keep your head down. They sold it as the path because they needed you on it. You did everything it asked for years. You showed up early, you stayed late, you delivered more than was promised. And somewhere along the way, you looked up and realized the men making real money weren't following your formula at all. They weren't working harder, they weren't more qualified. They were operating by rules you were never taught. Because the people who taught you didn't know them either, or needed you not to. What you called hard work, they called a discount. Machiavelli understood why 5 centuries ago. These are the 7 laws that explain why money follows specific men and ignores the rest. The man who works 14-hour days and still cannot get ahead is not lazy. He is proof the system is working exactly as designed. Someone above him is billing his output at 3 times what he earns and sleeping 8 hours while it happens. That gap is not a flaw, it is architecture. Machiavelli wrote that the man who labors in full view earns admiration, and the man who controls what that labor produces earns wealth. He was not guessing. He was describing a structure that has not changed in 500 years. Effort without leverage is a donation. You hand over the hours, the skill, the execution, and someone else decides what those things are worth. The man making real money is not doing more. He positioned himself between the work and the reward, and he made that position permanent. The moment they know what you need, they own the negotiation. Every salary discussion you have ever lost was decided before you opened your mouth because your face already told them you could not afford to walk away. They read it in your posture, in the speed of your reply, in the relief you showed when they made any offer at all. That relief was the price tag they put on you. Machiavelli warned that the man who reveals his desires hands his enemies a map to his destruction. Need is a signal, and it broadcasts on a frequency every predator in the room can hear. The men who command real money learn to kill that signal early. They walk into rooms the same way whether they are flush or bleeding. They never flinch at a number. They never rush to accept. They learned that silence after an offer is worth more than any counter. Right now, someone is deciding what to pay you, and they are not using your skills to calculate it. They are using the story they have already written about you. The man who shows up grateful gets priced like a man who has nowhere else to go. The man who shows up like he is evaluating them gets priced like a man with options. Same skills, same output, completely different number. Machiavelli understood that perception governs value more ruthlessly than performance ever will. The prince who appears strong is treated as strong, whether or not his army is real. You are not being paid for what you do. You are being paid for what they believe you could take elsewhere. That belief is the only lever you have, and most men hand it away by being too available, too agreeable, too quick to prove they deserve what they are asking for. The man who controls the story never has to prove anything. Subscribe. The men watching this channel are done being priced by someone else's story. Every episode strips another layer off the formula you were sold and shows you the rules that were running underneath it the entire time. Be here for it. The first thing most men do when they finally earn more is spend it on proof that they earned it. A nicer car, a bigger house, a watch that tells everyone in the room a number. And within 6 months, the raise is gone, the new baseline is locked in, and they are more trapped than before, because now they need the income just to service the life they built around it. The golden cage closes faster than any other kind. Seneca wrote that wealth is the slave of a wise man and the master of a fool. Machiavelli would have put it harder. The man who spends to be seen has already surrendered the only advantage money provides. Money buys exactly one thing that changes your position: time. Time to think. Time to wait. Time to say no. Every dollar spent on comfort is a dollar subtracted from the only resource that makes leverage possible. You have spent your life applying, submitting, presenting yourself for evaluation by people who had already decided what you were worth before you walked in. Every interview you ever sat through was a performance for a judge who already held the verdict. You were auditioning, and the role was always going to pay what they budgeted, not what you deserved. Machiavelli observed that the prince who pursues alliances from a position of need is devoured by them. The same law governs money. The man who chases opportunity gets priced at desperation rates. The man who builds something that draws opportunity toward him gets to set the terms. This is not arrogance, it is positioning. Stop walking into rooms where they hold the scorecard. Build the room where they come to you. The shift is not in your skills or your experience. It is in who needs who more, and making certain the answer is never you. Every hour you trade for money is an hour you cannot get back and cannot multiply. The man who earns only when he is present is one illness, one firing, one bad quarter away from zero. His income is not an asset, it is a lease, and the landlord can revoke it whenever the math changes. He does not own his life, he rents it. Machiavelli wrote that the prince who depends entirely on the goodwill of others builds on sand. Marcus Aurelius measured a man's freedom by what he could walk away from and still survive. Your employer's goodwill is no different from the prince's, revocable, conditional, never yours. The men who break free build structures that produce without requiring their presence in a specific chair at a specific hour, something that compounds while they sleep. Because knowing and doing have never been the same thing, and the man who only knows is still renting his life from someone who did. You were taught that the path to money was a straight line drawn through effort and loyalty and time served, and every year you stayed on that line, you handed the people above you exactly what they needed to keep you priced below what you were actually worth. Because a man who believes in the formula never questions the formula, and a man who never questions it never leaves, and a man who never leaves never has to be paid what it would cost to replace him. Machiavelli did not write these laws to make you cynical. He wrote them because the structure was already running, and the only men losing inside it were the ones who did not know the rules. The formula worked exactly as designed, just never for you. You already know what you are. Finally, ruthless.